Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Mind Brain Movies episode. I will apologize in advance if I talk weird. I just got a lip piercing, and I'm the dumbass who realized she does podcasts and her lip is swollen with a lip piercing. So, um, today is kind of a special follow up episode that I've been dying to do. Last time we talked about the movie Sunshine Cleaning and a little bit of my past into the crime scene. We kind of tiptoed into some waters. I know there's still plenty of unanswered questions. And also, I wanted to get on my girl Amber here, who I'm so thankful for her joining us today. So I might have been a pro in my field, but she took it and fucking ran with it. She left me in the dust. Um, I'm so proud of her and everything that she does. So say hello, Amber. I'd love to introduce you.
Hi. Well, I did not leave you in the dust. You're excellent at what you do, but I just kind of went a different direction. But I'm very excited to be on your podcast. And hello, everybody.
Awesome. And obviously, of course, as always, I have Dr. Gremlin, Miss Elizabeth over here.
Look, I'm wearing black. I'm matching you guys.
Oh, and it's so weird because she's our like rainbow sparkle unicorn girl. So where seeing you in all black is weird.
I kind of had to because I went to the dermatologist yesterday and he sprayed my neck with this. And I told my brother it was antifreeze. It's not. I don't know what it is. And like my neck is all red, so I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. I'm gonna like creep people out. And this was like the one thing that I had that covered my neck. So I mean, I planned this all along because of the topic.
Yes, totally. You're so on top of it and professional, and we love you.
Yes.
You're adorable. I can't take it.
So again, a little back I just want to get a little backstory on you, Amber. Like obviously
Oh,
I've known you for years and I've adored you for years and we've kept in touch throughout, but for all the listeners out there, give us a little backstory on you, like, and why I
okay.
fucking love you.
All right. Talking about me. Okay. So I started at the company that
We'll
we
say company.
yeah, we're gonna say company. So I worked my way up from a crime scene cleaning technician, backup supervisor, supervisor. I ended up traveling to Chicago, Illinois to become a client manager, dispatcher, and operations assistant. And so I ended up working with crime scene cleaners all over the nation. And that's where I got in contact with this beautiful lady right here. And so I was my goal in all of this as I was becoming a crime scene cleaner, and I loved what I did, but I did not like who I was working for. I just ethically I just did not align with them, but nevertheless I saw the move as an opportunity because to learn how to do the business because I could do everything in the field, I could do anything as far as helping these families in person, but as far as my dream of wanting to be my own business and do something, I wanted to learn the other side of things, working with insurance companies, operations, just how that whole thing worked. So that's why I went out to Illinois, and then I saw behind the curtain. Really decided I ethically just did not align, but
Yeah.
I didn't learn exactly what I thought I would, but nevertheless, I did take so much valuable information from all of these crime scene cleaners nationally. I was asking people what they were doing, how they were doing it. They were advising me on just, their processes. And I gained so much knowledge. It was ridiculous. And I also gained so many friends. And then, well, so I moved back after a year to Fresno, California, and decided, it's time to start my own business, do my own thing,
Woo.
and separate from them. Yes,
Yeah.
went through a lot of struggles, but I anyway found my way to who I really am, what I want to do. So I'm Amber with Reaper Clean LLC, Biohazard Remediation and Recovery. And so my thing is we're crime scene cleaners. I love doing this part of it, but also I'm really big on talking about death and death care We're very honest, hence the
Yes.
name. You know who we are and you know what we do. We want to have complex conversations about some things that may be considered taboo in cultures or not. Just we're a safe place to have the hard conversations and say things that, we see and do. And customers often, they're not afraid to actually express themselves with us, which is, hope I know it's something that you were really good at with your customers, allowing them that space to grieve or to just say really what they were thinking and feeling, whether it was appropriate or not. It was them in their moment. And so we're that safe space. And then also we're focused on recovery too, because after we deal with families, we want them to find their healing journey and move along in that direction. So I'm actually volunteering for American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I'm a board member of the Central Valley chapter. We host like walks here in Fresno. I'm working with Fresno County Suicide Prevention Collaboration. So I attend meetings every other month to just find out new information and resources. We now have like a crisis response team here in Fresno County instead of the police responding to crisis. Now we have an actual mental health professional that can respond to crisis in this area.
Awesome.
Just looking into other avenues, and not just with suicide, but that is one of our bigger ones. But with, we're talking about, overdose, we're talking about domestic violence, all of these intersecting issues in our community. We're trying to be a place after something happens and we're coming here to clean up. We want to make sure that families and businesses and people know about resources and where they can go after the fact. And then I'm also doing a column in the Fresno Flyer monthly where biohazards intersect with the community. Like I said, we're just trying to have open, honest conversation, and death isn't something scary to talk about. Suicide is happening. It's not a hush taboo thing. Like, we need to discuss these issues in our community. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing.
Wait a second. You're still in Fresno?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're like an hour away from me. You're so
We're
close.
gonna hang out, obviously.
No.
Where are you?
Hope lied to me. Hope said you were in Sacramento. You said she was in Sacramento, and I was like, "Oh, that's so far."
I never said those words.
For a period of time, I moved to Sacramento because, like, before I was doing the crime scene cleanup stuff, I was going to school out there, and so I moved from Fresno to Sacramento. I was there for a long time. I ran the shop there in the Rancho Cordova area when I worked for the other company, and traveled and such. But this is the deal. Once I went to the corporate, decided whatever, I'm done, I want to do my own thing, came back, like, I don't want to say like they didn't like me anymore when they figured out, I was going to go off and do my own thing after some of the stuff that happened there. But you have to be, California is a non-compete state. So it doesn't matter, but they have you sign this paperwork. Like, if you have to be 200 miles away from a shop after you quit with them, you're not allowed to work for other biohazard companies or other things, which is because it's a career for people. Whether they're going to go work for, Servpro, Firewater Mold or whatever. And there's like a year waiting period. Well, I just moved back to my hometown in Fresno, and then I was on a hiatus for a little while. I stepped away from crime scene cleaning for a little bit there, but I moved to Fresno, over 200 miles away from my original shop or anywhere else from Sacramento. But that's why I came back to Fresno. And then also it's my hometown, my family. There's other reasons I came back here, but that was also a factor. So that's why I am here and not in Sacramento. And then as that corporate entity continues to grow and kind of surround me, I'm the only family business out here that's kind of holding down the Central Valley. So
oh my God, we should totally hang out and then have tons of fun and send Hope all these pictures so she'd be jealous and come join us here in California.
I'm 150% down.
Yes.
Look,
bye,
y'all, I'm here to yeah, Elizabeth, you know why I live in Florida currently, so shut up.
No,
for valid
wait.
reasons.
Wait, I want to talk to Amber. Okay, so
she just scooted in. She was like, okay. What are we talking about? What's going on?
Listen. You know her. You get to talk to her all the time. I want to talk to her now. So I live in Corcoran, so it's like about an hour away.
I know where you are.
Yeah, from Fresno. So we should totally like do something together because I have a nonprofit that's like mental health and geek culture, and we should do like a project together. Yeah.
This is why I
Yes.
was trying to bring you two
Yes.
together.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm in.
Yes.
I'm in.
Yeah, she has her doctorates in psychology and mental health. She just started up her nonprofit, which
I'm so proud of you.
yeah.
Thank you.
So all the links for both of these wonderful, amazing women I surround myself with are going to be in the links below. But yeah, this is another reason I wanted to like kind of bring y'all together because I know you two individually do great things. Together, you can rule the world. So
It's time.
Yes, Michael.
It's time.
So I know, funny story, as Amber was saying, with our previous company that we both worked for, we started out as I was in the same process as her. I started as a lowly tech. I went to backup supervisor, then supervisor overseeing a state. And then after that, I was like, okay, I didn't make the move to ops like she did. I was like, no, I'm good. But when she was in ops, funny story, she actually gave me the job to get my first promotion.
Yes.
So
Which one was that?
it was in a fast food chain, and someone had died in there, and there was like blood and brain matter throughout the fast food chain. And I remember it vividly because I went in, they had nothing blocked off. There's people walking through the
Yup.
blood, the customers, and I'm like, shut this down. And they're like, but we can't. I was like, I will shut you down myself.
Oh man. Yeah. It's
Uh,
crazy in businesses how often they try to keep running even after
Mhm.
something traumatic has happened just
And
because,
it was a food service. It's not like it was a store, so it was full food service. And I was like, if you do not shut down, I will get your building condemned. Like, I have that power. And you don't want me to condemn it. So,
Oh.
Wait.
No,
but,
that
like,
was the
why
issue
would
out here
people
in the
go
Bay.
in there?
they honestly didn't know.
Desensitized.
And
Maybe
that
they didn't know.
one they didn't know, and not gonna lie, it had been walked through so much it looked like the hamburger meat that they were selling.
So
But
I
when
had
yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that was just bleh.
Yeah, I had a similar incident to respond to in Oakland where it was a KFC, a stabbing in a KFC, and there was
Yeah.
blood everywhere. And my experience was that it was just a desensitized neighborhood and area, and so they wanted to keep the drive-through rolling. And
Yeah.
people were just walking in and out of the door, stepping in. The same thing. It did look like hamburger meat, like all
Yeah,
over the floor.
yeah.
And I mean, I had a woman trying to walk in to get her chicken with her like daughter, who's like 3 or 4, walking through it, and I'm like, no, want to grab the baby, no. And I had to shut it down completely because I was just like, this is so unsanitary, it's so unsafe. And we didn't even land that job because if I recall correctly, like they were just going to hire somebody to mop it up because our prices were too high. But it was just
Oh no,
like,
I forced them because I was like, you cannot hire somebody else for this. What's going on? No, I was like, if you do not do this, I will sue your company. Basically, like,
yeah,
this is a health issue at this point.
The things that happen in these fast food chains sometimes, like just to keep to keep it rolling, scary. I was just like, I was so, oh my gosh. And I remember as I was like doing my estimate and going through and just trying to track where I remember there was little blood splatters in the fryer grease in the it was like it wasn't heated. It was like so there were 2 that were heated for the
solidified.
Yeah, it was solidified, and I was just like, I mean, I know the heat is gonna, but I was just they were,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is people? What?
Wait, I have a question. I have a question. How do you advertise to families, or is it just mainly you connect with like the police or fire departments, and then that's how families find out about your services? Because
Oh, Liz, you just did a trigger.
oh, is that a bad thing?
No,
Only one part of what you said was bad.
no, we're good.
Uh,
Me and
only
Hope
one
have a
part.
similar ideology when it comes to the police a little
Oh,
bit, but it's okay. There's a balance. There is a
There is.
balance.
There is.
So like I said, I'm a smaller business, so I cannot speak on behalf of crime scene cleaners who are working for franchises or larger companies. I'm sure they have their marketing ways, and a lot of that is law enforcement
Yes.
advertising. But because I want to be more connected with the community, my advertising is a little kind of off the wall. Absolutely, I do market to police departments, but I try to also market to fire departments as well
Yes.
as EMTs because they're kind of the first on scene most of the time. And then I also market to the community. Like I said, I have that on the scene column that I do in the Fresno Flyer monthly. And so just telling story about these biohazard intersections with the community, and then also mentioning at the end, like, for more information, go to reaperclean.com, our phone number, our social media connections. And so that's another way to get a reader engaged with me in the community, reading the newspaper and seeing who I am and what I do. And then I have advertised on the radio.
Yeah,
So one.
I remember you told me about your radio. It went for like 6 months or something.
Oh yeah, 6 months. So I advertised on the local radio here, and it was just my voice, like, "Hi, I'm Amber with Reaper Clean. Responding to trauma, cleaning, hoarding, disinfections. If you need resources, my phone number, so on and so forth." It sounded super cool. And then I have a friend who works at the radio station, and then he helped me with that. So it was super great. And then so I've just been testing the waters with my marketing to actual families and the community rather than just first responders, and then also last responders. So we talk to funeral
Yes.
homes, we talk to different people who are dealing with death on the other side. So I go to talk to first responders and last responders. And yeah, advertising is just, I actually have an advertisement right now at a golf course. So a lot of first and last responders and people who have like tournaments and stuff, or who do fundraising for golfing, that's like a big thing around here. And so I have a little mini, you'll see my logo and my phone number with a description, and it's right underneath like the picture of the green that they're looking for. And so it's like the little packet that they get when they go to the golf course, and I'm right there. So if there's ever any first responders or families or anyone who goes golfing, they see my advertisement right underneath that. And that's, again, a trial error thing, because I'm still new to trying to figure out what the balance is to advertise in the community rather than just to the police and other like entities like that, but just be more connected. So
that's
Yeah,
amazing, because I mean
I love
that's
that.
essentially why I created my nonprofit. And I know in the previous episode, when we when we were talking
Oh
about
no, we lost her. So I'm gonna
sunshine
keep talking
cleaning,
while Elizabeth is
um
frozen.
we kind of
Um,
hinted at that there's a lot of
I
sort of like,
know
I guess,
with
Hispanic families that don't really reach out to you
I
guys.
love
Um,
how you have
but
been doing your marketing, and it is amazing. And um, I will say, just going to the community and doing all these off the wall different things. Like, I know before I would get all these questions from customers and everything, and they're like, "I never even thought you would exist." And it's like, well, it's that fine. I always said it's that fine line of like, I'm glad you didn't know I existed, but I wish you did know I existed. So like,
yeah.
and I think it is part of that culture that we established, that you said that you want to deviate from, is, like, death shouldn't be a taboo. I love that thanatology is becoming a growing um practice. I love different death things. I even have a favorite mortician who lives in California as well.
Caitlin Doughty.
Yes, love her.
Yeah.
Like,
No, we're with the go like the death care movement, the death positive stuff. That's
mhm.
kind of who we are too. So
Yeah, and the fact that you're doing all this, you're spreading everything, it's fantastic. I love it. It's I'm just so proud of you. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I love you.
This
um,
this actually isn't a podcast anymore, people. It's just us like gushing over each other. It's fine.
okay. But you know what's funny is that I get so many families that when they talk to me on, they bring up like the movie Sunshine Cleaners, or they'll bring up,
Yes.
if you've ever seen that show, Move to Heaven. I think it's on Netflix or whatever. It's also about, I think it's about an autistic young man who takes over his dad's crime scene cleanup company, and it's a really good storyline. But it's funny because I'll get people who mention just kind of the TV show version, like they didn't really think it was something that actually would connect with their reality. But here
Right.
I am, a little crime scene cleaner, in their home, and they're just like, they talk to me about the movies they've seen, and they ask so many questions, and
Mhm.
sometimes they'll censor their words or just be like not sure if it's okay to. I'm like, no, come on,
Yeah.
bring it on. Like, it's okay. You don't
Mhm.
have to censor yourself. What do you want to ask me, and I will answer for you, because I want to have that level of honesty with them, because we're not. I love the movie Sunshine Cleaners because it's so raw, right? And it's
Mhm.
just like her journey, and she's struggling herself. And I will never ever push anyone into a decomp mattress. Okay, that doesn't happen. We don't do
Yeah, we covered this in our last podcast with
yeah.
like because this is how we like jumped into it, was through Sunshine Cleaners. And
Mhm.
I was like, that's the biggest thing, was the PPE. And like, I was just so freaking out, like, oh, this is my worst nightmare.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I am so PPE covered for the jobs that need it. It's not even funny. But there are people who get their start, like, this is what I talk about with some people, like, where did crime scene cleaning come from? Friends, neighbors, church people
Mhm.
originally just took care of it. We all,
Right.
and then over time, as we enter our industrial age, our capitalist society, and we're creating jobs, and crime scene cleaning is a career, and we come
Yes.
through, and now we've created protocol and ways to protect ourselves from bloodborne pathogens and things like that. But many, 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 many years ago, like, that wasn't a thing. And
Mhm.
so now the importance of personal protective equipment, what we know about germs, what we know about bloodborne pathogens, is important information to have in order to protect ourselves. Remember, PPE is our last line of defense. It's the education and knowledge about what we're going into that's the first.
Yeah.
Um, and
Speaking of bloodborne pathogens, you also did offer a cert class or something, I saw? Or
So I have my HAZWOPER, my 40-hour HAZWOPER, and then my bloodborne pathogen training. So I can teach the bloodborne pathogen training, and I can also teach the HAZWOPER 40-hour. But that's like such an intense class. I'm still working on how I'm going to do that, just
Mhm.
because it would be a week, like 8-hour
Gotcha.
days. So
Right,
I have to.
right.
I'm not quite there yet with the 40-hour, because I have to establish like my classroom and how I'm going to
Mhm.
do it. And I need some. Obviously, my team is going to be my guinea pigs. Like, they're going to sit through my lecture and learn. As we read, because what I've been doing to recertify us is just the online courses, right? Having
Okay.
everybody
Yeah.
take these courses and refreshers, and just making sure that they're educated. But I want to bring it in house so we can, I can do it myself, and I can teach. So, but I do offer the bloodborne pathogen training. I can
Yeah.
do that one. That's a much shorter class. It's a few hours. So
That's still awesome. Like, I love that you do that. And I think we finally have Elizabeth back, so I know she's dying to ask some questions probably.
Well, yeah, I didn't
hello
realize I was
again.
frozen, and then I was talking and I was like, "Yeah." And then I heard Hope talking and I was like, "Oh, I don't think they can hear me." And I was like, "Yeah," going on with like this thing that I was saying. And I was like, "Oh, never mind." No, I just wanted to say that I really like the fact that you are trying to reach out to the community, because I know that's something that we talked about before, in the previous episode, where um, certain cultures don't really reach out to you guys for services because of their beliefs or their lack
Mm.
of information as to what happens and the importance of making sure that everything is clean. um so yeah, I mean that's a large part of-
If no other reason, just for
yeah.
health.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting because if you go to my website too, you get, like, go to any biohazard website of any other company and you get the same thing. You're scrolling through just all of this information. It's all you just get pretty much the same bullet points put at you on every website. It all just looks, I don't know, just it's all professional and everything else. But you go to my website, which is also professional, it's personal too though. Like, you see me, you see pictures of my team, you go to the team page, we're the people who show up, the people you just looked up, like, you see my face. And you see I have the Fresno Flyer articles on there. You see our involvement with the community, and I try to keep it. I don't want it complicated. I want the basic information there. I don't want too much, so that way people can find exactly what they're looking for. Because I find that a lot of times when you're looking for services, I mean, if you're looking for a plumbing company, or you're looking for a water remediation, or you're looking for these certain things, and you're looking at all these websites, when they're all looking the same, and everything is like a big corporate entity, and when you call, you get pushed to, you're on hold, and then you get pushed to a person you've never met that's in another state, and then you call me, like, my crisis line is in my pocket. And if it's not with me, it's with Calvin. If it's not with Calvin, it's with Jess. It's with one of the team members that you actually. That's the other thing about having my voice on the radio advertisement is you hear my voice on the radio and you're going to call my line. You're going to hear my voice when I answer the phone. It's that personal. Like, I'm not a stranger. Like, I want to be, I'm here for you. This is about your, getting you through this traumatic incident and going forward and being honest about it. A lot of people may, everybody has a right to choose who they want to use and services, and everyone's different. My service may not be for you, and that's okay. But the image that we have is important to me, because we really want to be in the community talking about death care, and we really want to be perceived as local, because we're not. A lot of these companies will say that they're local, and they're not. Or they're a small business, but they're bringing in millions and millions of dollars. They're not as small as you actually think they are. We are very, very small.
Sorry, I was stalking your website. Yes, I love it.
I think we need more of. Yes. But I think we need more of that personal touch. I know there's so many times back when I was doing this job where I could have said, if only they knew what I was saying and what I was doing, I'd probably be fired, because I would break those boundaries and there and get with these clients because I had that personal touch. But that's also a reason why I had like 50 5-star ratings on Yelp, and it was literally under mine and Kevin's names. It wasn't the company's, it was our personal names.
Exactly.
They're like, how do you get all these things? And I'm like, because I listen, I care.
Like, treat people with respect, answer them honestly. It's not as much about sales. If we're not for them, then we're not for them. Like, the thing I would do too when I would go on site is I would do my job, but then I would like cover the name on my shirt, right, of the company, and be like, now this is Amber, just the biohazard remediation person, speaking to you of, what your best decision may be. It may not be us. Here are other options, and here's things that we're capable of doing, but also another company, it may be a money issue, it may be something else, and then hand comes back off, and now we have Amber with the company again. But I used to do that all of the time, so that way I could be honest with my customer about what they were getting themselves into. I'd be like, by the way, when you sign this is what you're signing, and this is what this means. Like, I did not want to confuse, or I just always, that's the other thing that's really big with me, is making sure that families understand what they're signing. Because I'm still a business. I do make money. Like, I have to pay myself to do this job. But I want my customers to understand, like, what I'm here to do, what I'm capable of, and what I'm not capable of. Like, how many jobs have we gone into and, we're just like, burn the whole house down. We don't even want to deal with it. And if we do remediate those situations, we have to remember, like, we can't guarantee like pristine, it's like polishing a turd sometimes when you're going into like hoarding homes that have been, overfilled for over 40, 50 years. There's structural damage. Things need to be repainted. There's rodents that have to be taken care of. There's all these things that you haven't even seen these walls in 40 years. We don't know.
A big thing
We
is
can't
smoke
predict that.
damage.
Smoke damage is huge.
That's I've done plenty of jobs with smokers of up to 30, 40, 50 years in the home, and I will scrub that wall at least 6 different times and I'm still not at the wall. And I'm
No,
like
exactly.
I'm just like I can only do so much, guys. Like
No, and then ATP testing doesn't work for that either. Like you
exactly.
can't. There's no way. There's no way you can get that to pass. Like it's just. I mean, you have to keep going and going and going and going and going and going.
And for
It's
those of you,
unrealistic.
and real quick, just to break down some of the lingo, that an ATP
Yeah.
testing is, I've mentioned this briefly before. It's a bacterial percentage testing that we have to do, that we would swab all surfaces. I know my tagline always was, hospitals can be up to 400% bacteria. We have to be at 0. Think on that. Like,
Yeah.
and now Elizabeth's like, I'm never
I'm
going
never
to the
eating
hospital
fast
again.
food again. I'm never going to hospitals. I'm never leaving my house.
Well, you have to for the corporate
Oh,
retreat.
well, yeah, but that's an exception.
Well, be careful because we know a lot of hoarders that never left their house. Amazon boxes stacked with Amazon boxes stacked
And
with.
you are borderline hoarder,
Listen,
Elizabeth.
that's why I have siblings. They can take out the trash, okay? I don't have to do it. Yeah.
Put them to work. All right. I feel it.
Anyways, also I think Amber, you should be invited to the nonprofit retreat that we're making. So,
Ooh, yes.
Hope he's trying to kidnap us.
Hey, gotta use that tax write-off money somehow. Whatever. There's alpacas.
I'd let her. I'd straight up let her get him. It's all good.
I offer alpacas. It's fine.
Yeah. It's not kidnapping if I'm a willing participant.
Boone is fine with it. You're the only
I
problem.
never said it was a problem. I'm just saying. That's what's happening, and I never said I was unwilling, okay?
Well, you have to be willing because it's going to be under, Psychology for Geeks nonprofit name. So
I should get paid for this.
So cool. Such a creative name, too.
So, what other questions do you have, Elizabeth? I know Amber and I can keep going back and forth with stories all day long, but I also kind of wanted to bring you here not only to connect, but also you are that third party, that's a bit naive. And so you would think of questions that I probably wouldn't think of because I'm like, oh yeah, I know that.
Well,
Okay.
so I was looking at the website, and I just wanted to know more about like other services that you offer. Like obviously we talk about like crime scene cleanups, suicide, and all those things, but like what are other reasons that people can contact you?
Hoarding is a big one.
Yes.
Hoarding situations. I just know that my company does 2 parts. Whenever we do a hoarding situation, I estimate to remove all of the things from inside the home, the personal property, the trash, the everything. And then the second part would be that part's done. And then only after that can I actually see the structure and talk about any potential cleaning or disinfecting and moving forward after that, just because we all know crime scene cleaners know after looking at hoarding situations, like they're all very unique, and some are not, whether or not we can actually clean and disinfect with what we have versus other times based on structural damage and other things is important, because I don't want my customers to waste money on things that are just highly unlikely to be the condition that they want them to be without like extreme, like you need a contractor involved in getting keeps
right. And anybody who's seen like an episode of like Hoarders, like sometimes they'll remove things and they're like, yeah, it's because we removed all the boxes, like the roof is about to crumble because the boxes are actually holding up the roof. We need to leave.
Yeah.
So like
we did a job in, I think it was San Rafael or somewhere in the Bay Area, and it was such a bad hoarding situation that once we actually emptied the condo, and this was like the third floor, there was a crack in the concrete foundation because there had been just tons and tons and tons. But so we're here for our hoarding situations, but we also do disinfection services just in general. So say you're a cancer patient, or you have MRSA or a staph infection that's really
C.
bad,
diff
and
is a big one too.
C. diff, things like that. We have no problem coming into the home and cleaning and disinfecting one time for, so that way you come back from the hospital and it's safe for you, and making sure you have that clean environment. We also do needle and feces pickups. So sometimes, I have businesses call me. I was contracted with the Tower Theater here in Fresno for a while because they have this beautiful terrazzo area in front of their theater, but at night homeless people will sleep there, which is fine. But in the morning, if they've pooped, they've peed, they've left their needles, and that's just not safe. So I'll come by, and I have like a contract I do sometimes if they want me to respond 2, 3, 4 times, a week, a month, whatever that may be, to come by and just clean all of that up. So that way it's a safe environment again. So I do that. And then we also do, and again, these are things that are, I guess, they're gray areas, I suppose. Sometimes we do respond to things that aren't biohazardous exactly. They're just maybe an elderly person has gotten to the point where they can't care for themselves anymore, and they've just kind of let things go over the last 6 months. Yeah. We're going to go, it's not something a maid service will ever respond to, but so they call us, and it's not necessarily biohazardous. So I have different rates and different things that I do for families that are in those circumstances. Like, we're not going to say no to you, especially if we're not busy. And then, we want to help veterans or people who have mental health issues. I've had schizophrenic customers or individuals who were, just mentally unwell, who just had an episode and they kind of destroyed their spot. And they called me, and it was totally judgment free and just needed help. And so we were able to go and do that, and just, hey, this is one time, we want to get you back on your feet again and help support you that way. And then I've also had customers that we've done jobs for, whether it be we're responding to a death scene or just cleaning something out like that. I've had customers ask if we can come to memorial services to help. So we've actually, I've had my team recently go to a memorial service to help serve drinks and cookies and snacks, because they trusted us to do that, because they couldn't find it was like a homemade version. It wasn't like a huge paying for thousands of dollars with a funeral kind of deal. It was just kind of like a memory of life, thing at the house. And so we're totally open to connecting with our customers like that. And if they, maybe we're not exactly doing biohazardous work, but we are also in this death care industry, and we're trying to help with this grief process. And if they want us to, if we need to go and represent or stand, at a funeral and be present, and in case, nobody's going to show up or the family's afraid of something like that, we can go. We don't even have to be in our gear or anything, not even Reaper Clean specifically. We'll just go as, people, because we were connected to this. So, we want to be that support. I've had people also call because their animal passed away and they wanted to bury their dog, and they were just scared. And so I've responded to services like that too. It's not necessarily something that, we particularly do, but we do have these gray areas where we can assist in those moments too. And we can try and create something to be able to service that person or direct them somewhere where someone can help them. So we have our general services, but also, like I said, that's the gift, I think, of us being such a small business and us being more personable, is we can kind of squeeze into some of these other areas of support. And I know I even had a customer reach out to us recently. She had a hoarding situation going on, but it wasn't exactly hoarding. She was an older retired teacher. Obviously she's just older and having a hard time taking care of herself, and her husband had dementia. And so she was caring for him and just kind of let everything slip, and it got pretty bad. So we went in there and took care of that situation. And, she thanked us because she said, like, her family was able to come visit again, and people were able to come back into her home, and she was no longer ashamed of the piling up of everything. And then she had a cat that would just kept going to the bathroom and going to the bathroom, and she just let it get away from her too. So we cleaned. That was biohazardous. We did take care of that. But she called me, I think, about 4 or 5 months after, to let me know that her husband had passed away. And so we showed up with flowers the next day, because that's, that we got to know him when we were there. They were actually in the home when we were working. We don't usually have people in the home, but again, we have certain circumstances where obviously they don't have anywhere else to go. They need help. It's not biohazardous per se, but this is nearly a hoarding situation, so we need to take care of it, and then we work around them. But I remember, when she called me on the phone, she was just like, I just wanted to thank you because everybody was able to come and say goodbye and be in the home, and we just had so much more support. And it was a big deal. I cried when she called me. I was like, oh my gosh. And he was so funny. Like when we got to know him, he would come out every day and be like, who are you? Are you cleaning my house? We're like, yeah, we're here to help. And he'd be like, oh, that's great. We have another house. Can you clean that one too? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We'll be there, So it was just, we got to know them. And so hearing of his passing, we wanted to send her flowers, and we wanted to, give her a hug, and we sat down and we talked with her and made sure she was okay and that she had support. So we just do all sorts of different stuff, I guess.
Wait, can you?
Yeah, I love that.
Sorry. No. Let me talk. I'm like crying over here. I'm like super emotional today. But I want you to talk because you talk about hoarding, but then again, I was stalking your website because there was a lot of things in here that I'm like, oh, I didn't know about this. So I want you to tell people about it. Animal hoarding.
Animal hoarding. Okay, so
yeah. Oh God. I will say, this was one of the few things I struggled with the most in my profession. I was like, dead people, fine. When it came to animals or their harm, because I used to be a former vet tech, that in and of itself is a whole other task that I commend people, because I would have to rely on like my friend who I worked with, Kevin, at the time. I'm like, Kevin, if I cry, you need to get me out of here. Like,
it's true, the animal stuff is harder. So in my experience, and again, this is just my personal how I kind of define situations when I go into them, because you'll hear people talk about hoarding, but there are different types, and you'll hear people be like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, like of how dirty the space is. But I think differently, and so I'm like, I think about the type of waste that we're dealing with. So I have like a 4 list type of hoarding situation. The first one is it's like my favorite kind of hoarder, and it's the hoarder that has unopened boxes of goodies everywhere. It's not necessarily garbage and feces and that kind of stuff. It's just they'll Amazon boxes, that, what is that website that people go to all the time?
Wish or Temu or whatever.
Yeah, those types of things. And then you have the people that have been watching TV after 10 o'clock at night, which is like, purchase this for $59.99 times 2, whatever. And then so in these hoarding situations, it's great because it's almost like you're a treasure hunter and you're finding Tupperware that's never been used, and kitchen stuff and clothes. And I've even had to call like thrift stores or donation places to be able to take these things because they're unharmed, they're untouched, they're in plastic, they're clean. And these are like the best hoarding situations you could get. It's this is the ones I'd rather be doing. And then the next is the gross filth hoarder. And so the gross filth hoarder is somebody who just keeps everything, the trash. You have, piles and piles of different trash. You may have like bugs involved, their feces, urine, needles, just icky nasties. And usually these hoarding situations are pretty bad. And then you have animal hoarding, which is similar to this, except it's just all animal waste, because you have someone who their building was condemned because they had 200 cats or dogs or birds or a combination of animals. Maybe they started an animal rescue and they became mentally ill or had suffered from something, and then instead of being a rescue, they've kind of lost the ability to care for all these animals, and now you have a neglect situation. And then the fourth type of hoarding is the combo hoarder, which is a combination of any of these three, which
Mm-hmm.
is, there's some animal hoarding, there's some, Amazon boxes and cool stuff there, but there's some gross filth, and that can be of any level, of any kind. But you usually see a stronger presence of a type of hoarding that they're doing. And that's just the way that my brain thinks about it, and how I go into the situations. But animal hoarding is one of the hardest hoarding situations you can have, simply because there's usually a lot of dead animals involved.
That's what always got me. It was
Yeah.
I could find, from my personal experience, I found body parts, I found brain, I found skulls, I found
Yeah.
sloughed off body parts,
Yeah.
or just different things. I'm like, yeah, whatever, just another day. Um, and when I was a vet tech, we had to do euthanasias and everything, but that's like a very sterile process. We're there, the owner's there. I know it's a clean environment, and we had to do the euthanasias. It always hurt me, but it was a more wholesome thing. But when we'd go into these animal situations, that literally would kill me. Finding these dead babies of these animals, um, like I think, honestly, one of the ones that hurt me the most was I found someone had it was a horde type job. The dude never left his house. He passed away, and he had a parrot, one of the most intelligent creatures. And parrots can live up to like 90 years. And it was trapped in its cage, and it starved and was malnourished, and it died. And I just remember walking in. I was like, whatever. And I turned and I see this poor baby. And I was like I almost broke down right then and there. I was like, because
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, this poor thing had to sit there and wait. And that's the thing, that you're putting those animals in through the neglect, and I just feel the pain. I
Yeah.
I right now my dogs are in the other room, so they don't like cause chaos while I record, but I'm like, why, I need my dog to cuddle right now. Like,
Yeah.
um and
It makes
sometimes,
me grateful for my animals and the
yeah,
ability to care for them.
and some situations, like in that case, like, I was able to scoop up the bird. I wrapped it up in like a towel that I found, and I put it in a box, and I told the family, I was like, look, you can either have this, or I'll go to my local vet and I'll have it like cremated and everything, but this baby was here. Something needs to happen. Um, you know, and in situations like that, but some situations it's just they're already rotten and decayed, and
Yeah.
that's the worst. Like, so anyone who does animal horde type jobs is, I would say, probably the hardest thing ever to do, beyond the normal. Like, everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the crime scene, whatever." I'm like, "No, it's the animal. If you're in this profession, you already have a giant heart, and it's going to be even worse when you
It's true.
these innocent babies." I love humans, but they're so corrupt and awful. But like, animals are so pure, and like,
Yeah. There was one animal hoarding situation. This was actually, I didn't do it in person, and I can't even imagine, because I've done animal hoarding, but there was one particular one that affected me. And again, I was not on site. I was managing and helping walk a supervisor through this and kind of doing all of the coordinating.
mhm,
But as the pictures just kept coming in, it was a house with cats. It was a cat hoarding situation. And so, as many cats that were able to be rescued were, and taken into
mhm.
shelter or wherever they went. But the team was left to clear out the home, because it was basically being condemned because of the cat feces and urine and everything else. And
I think this was my job.
was it?
I think this was one of our jobs.
Was it the one with all of the dead cats and freezers?
And like even through our masks and everything, you could smell the ammonia from the
Yeah.
cat
Was it?
piss.
Did you guys have to take them to the?
There was
Maybe it.
like there was like several we took to like the local SPCA or whatever, but there was like others that escaped, and just like,
I don't
oh,
know. Maybe it was. This was in it was the state over from California.
oh no,
The
this was in Virginia.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Virginia. It was it was a state. I think it was Arizona, or Colorado. I think it was Colorado actually, but it was, oh man,
I was gonna say, is
this
this my job?
this woman kept the cats that died, and she put them in bags and put them in freezers, and she had deep freezers of dead cats everywhere. And then so I called local animal cremation services, and they were like, yeah, it's $200. I go, no, you don't understand, we have like 200 dead cats. And they're like, oh well, then we can do it by the pound. And then so the team had to actually take all of the dead cats in the big black bags that we had and roll and drive to the cremation place, and they spent an entire weekend cremating all of the cats, and so that way we could dispose of them in a safe and way, because there was just so many dead cats and it was just so bad. But I remember having to coordinate that. When I called the animal crematory, they were like, wait, what? I said, yeah. They're like, okay, maybe we can work out a deal by the pound. And I was just like, yeah, we can't do $200 a cat. Like, I mean, they all need to just, it doesn't matter, but we just have to take care of this because we can't bury all of them. We can't, like, I don't know. It was just one of those, it were so many dead animals in the home. I just felt so bad for my team. I was just like, oh my gosh, I kept checking in on them. And, because it does take a toll, especially when you're an animal person, and seeing that and just knowing that this woman, just whatever her mental issue was, she could not let go. Like, she could not let go. And just keeping the bodies, like, it was very bizarre. It was a very bizarre situation.
And Liz, this is why it's important for people like you in the community, because you can help people with these problems and help them, guide them with your knowledge.
Well, I mean,
and then there's
go
also
ahead.
You're good. I was like, there's also the situation that's unrelated to hoarding, but we come across animals a lot on biohazard situations, because sometimes, like, a person will pass away and then their dog is in the house with them, or their cat. And then sometimes, unfortunately, those animals, we either find them passed away too because they starved before somebody found them, or we find them and they need a new home because maybe there's no next of kin. Or and then so that's, we participate, like, we found plenty of animals on scene where we've connected with local rescues or tried to find them new homes or work with the family to adopt them and provide, because I have a big heart for animals too. But it's not just hoarding situations that we're coming across animals and biohazards. But my Pooba, I love my Pooba so much.
Her mascot for her job is her dog Pooba.
Yeah, Pooba. He's a Great Pyrenees. He's huge. He's my big white floofy butt. I love him so much. But that's the thing too about being a crime scene cleaner, is like, you're traveling all of the time. And so it was really hard. I have 2 cats, but it was really hard. I've always wanted a dog. And so now that I'm, like, settled in my own space and I have my own home and I have more stability and I have my own business, even though I do respond within a 2-hour radius around the Central Valley, I am home more and I'm able to have my dog. And it's been the best, like, any way I could ever heal myself from things, like being able to have a dog and have someone to come home to that's just always happy to see me is just amazing. I mean, I have friends and family and everybody I love and support. But the dog is my dog is everything to me. And, like, I'm happy that I can be in a place, because before, like, when I was doing the corporate stuff and I was running 24/7, like, they were running me into the ground. I mean, I couldn't even come home. I had to have other people check. Cats can survive on their own. Leave them food and water. They're cool. Like, they'll be all right. But a dog goes stir crazy. There's no way. So I couldn't ever do that to a dog. My cat just like, whatever, I'm glad you were gone. Like, I watched TV the whole time you weren't here. I don't care. I had food. I love my cats, but they're very independent. They don't need me. I need them. It's different.
Yeah, exactly. Cats train us. We don't train them.
Yeah.
So how do you take care of sort of like the mental health of your team?
Such a good question. I'm so happy you asked that. So the reason, that's the other big thing that I try and do differently, because as Hope knows, we came from a very dysfunctional place. I mean, we were not taking care of ourselves, were we?
There was times I'd actually go to our regional, I'd go to our VP personally, and I'd be like, look, this job takes a toll on us, and I am going to therapy when I can, but I'm borderline right now. I was like, I've turned to my teammates and I'm like, I'm about to be your next job, you know?
Yeah. No, and
Um,
it's
and
vicarious
they would,
trauma.
and they would brush me off and they're like, oh, well, you're still on call for the next job. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. I just told you I'm about to fucking kill myself. Like, and I'm not joking. um, because of what stress it would take on you, because I would always, being the supervisor, not only did I have such a great range of area I would cover, but I always put the customers first and I put my team first. And there was nothing left for me.
Yeah.
And even the people who were supposed to like help me weren't there. So the company was not good with mental health.
No.
I would make sure my team was covered, but again, it's like when I'm okay, I'm there for them, but again, no one's there for me. And when your company dealing with such a sensitive topic, there needs to be more people like you, Elizabeth, to be like, stand aside, I got this. I will take care of them. Like,
No, we need more mental health professionals around in these areas, in this profession as well, because exactly, I was running on empty, burning the candle at
yep,
both ends. My team came first, my families came first, but I was last on the list and I was
yep,
not taking care of myself. And so I learned from that big time. But I was in a very hard space. I suffered from depression and anxiety and a lot of these different things because of the things I was doing, and I wasn't eating right. I was on the road all the time. We had to stop at
yep.
gas stations and other places. We had to be there on time. I wasn't
Wawa was
sleeping
my
right.
best friend.
Yeah, I wasn't sleeping right. We were driving back to back to back to back. All of a sudden, I have a day off, but a client manager calls me and they're like, "Well, we need you. Your team needs. Think of the family if we can't respond. Think of all these manipulative ways and using this trauma bonding because as a team, we had each other's backs.
Yeah,
We see things with these people that I can only really compare to maybe a veteran experience or being out in the field that way of
yeah,
just you're connected to these people and you've seen things that you can't really share with others, and so you're friends, you're close. I mean, you're workers, and there are separations and boundaries, but that's the thing, the boundaries were so thin in that toxic environment, and so we all depended on each other, but it was just it shouldn't have been that way. There should have been other supports. If I'm on vacation or I'm taking time off because I need it, I'm sorry, that family has to wait, or we need to have more hires. The other team should be
yep,
capable. Like there's no manipulation of
yep,
covering or keeping just going when you're so like
yep.
on. You just can't keep up. So for my business specifically, Reaper Clean, Hope, if one of my employees ever came to me and said that they were going through what you were going through, or you were
Mhm.
feeling suicidal, or that you were being affected, or you had that one hard job, maybe it was a kid or something that really
Yeah,
just scared you, you get time off. You get the time off. How
yeah.
can I assist you? Do you need therapy services, counseling? What can we do to help get you to be okay? Is it just, do you need a couple days to spend time with your family? I encourage everyone on my team to be open and honest about where they are, because if I'm not doing well and I respond, of course I'm going to do everything I can for that family, but am I at my best? I'm not. I'm
Right.
not going to be able to provide the best service. I may cut corners because I'm tired, not because I'm trying to do the wrong thing. I just may not be thinking clearly because I'm exhausted, which happens when you're juggling multiple things at once.
Yeah.
And then we're not doing our families the service that they need when we're exhausted, or when we're at our thinking of our own problems and things, and we're not thinking of them. So having that time to be able to have time off, to be able to be honest, to know our needs. So like I always encourage self-care, sleep number one. My guys are not going to be responding if they haven't had 8 hours of sleep at least. 8 hours of sleep is the most important factor.
Yep.
We will have late nights, we will have overnighters. Not to say that there will be times where we will be tired, absolutely, but I'm not going to keep you going and going and going and going after that. You will get that day of rest. You will be able to sleep. because that is the number one thing that would drive me insane, is when I wasn't sleeping and I just wasn't making smart decisions. And then
Yep.
number two, making sure that my teammates are, that they can come to me and talk openly about jobs. You're not going to, just because a job was hard, or if you had that moment of connection or you want to cry or something like that, it doesn't mean you're fired. It doesn't mean you can't handle this. We're all human. We all break sometimes when we see things that hurt, and that's okay to express those things and take that time. Giving my employees time off, making sure that they're taking care of themselves the best of their ability. Like, eventually I would love to have a mental health person on the team so I can provide counseling, like maybe once a month or every other month or whatever they elect, to be able to have that, like, so that way my team can have that support. And that's something, a goal that I would like to work towards once we're so we've been, Reaper Clean's been going for 4 years now, and every year we're growing a little bit more and a little bit more, so I can do a little bit more. And eventually, when we're really like successful, meaning like we're getting jobs in and out every day, income is enough for me to have all of my techs right now. We all work hourly, and 1 month we could have 3 or 4 jobs. 1 month we could have none. 1 month we could have 10. It just, once we're to a point of consistency and I can create a system that I can, because everybody gets paid. Number one, that's the biggest thing with me. The minimum, and we do tiered rates depending on the what we're doing. Like, the minimum is $30 an hour for my technicians. That's what they get paid minimum. As far as, like, if we're not doing a biohazard situation, we're just picking up garbage. $30 an hour, and then the rates increase with the danger that we go into. They get $50 to $75 an hour. If we're in a shotgun suicide and we're exposed to pathogens and needles and things that are dangerous, they get paid $100 an hour for what they do. So that's the other thing, is making sure that my team is being paid adequately for the jobs that they're doing where there's danger or emotional stress involved. So that way, when they get that paycheck, they earned it, and then that's for them to be able to spend if they do need mental health services right now, or care, or things like that, or whatever that their needs are. Because I think that mental health also involves, it's not affordable right now in many instances. Just being, I'm in California, affording anything is insane right now. We're all barely holding it together. So I think across the United States that's felt with millennials.
Liz just did a panel actually about how the economics and mental health play hand in hand. How it's not affordable, and it's a shame because it's one of the growing fields and one of the growing necessities. It's a necessity at this point. And it's still not affordable to all, and I think it's a shame.
Yeah, I also think it's a shame. And so that's why I would like to get to a place where, as a business, I can afford to pay for a counseling session. Because if you were to be a counselor or on my team, I want to pay you to do your job, because you deserve to be paid the wage that
You got one right there, Amber. You got one right there.
I know, and I love you so much. I want to pay you. I don't want you to do it out of the kindness of your heart. I'm so happy that you would. I get so many people that want to do things out of the kindness of their heart and volunteer. And there's always a time and a place to do that. I'm totally for that. But I want everybody to be able to make the wage that they're worth, that they earn, and I want to be able to.
Don't ask Liz that, because she'll say like $1 million an hour, but
yeah.
I know my worth.
A realistic wage that everybody is worth, I know. I don't want. It's hard out. It's hard out here in California. Okay, so like I said, a minimum for my team is $30 an hour, and I think that's a good start with where we are, even as a small business, for making sure that
phenomenal.
Can I just
I'm doing my best there.
And say how much I love you right now, because this is amazing. Not only are you like working for like the community, because a lot of it, like, really the community doesn't really know about all of these things. That's why I created like my nonprofit, and that's why I do panels about like, why is therapy so expensive? Because again, we have no choice. We have student loans to pay. We need that money, and if we're like our own business, we have stuff to pay, so we have to charge that much.
Yeah.
And but you also take care of your
Yeah.
employees, and like that's why I kind of wanted to create my own place, because I didn't really agree with like all the other places that I kind of worked. There were things that I've worked at really great places, but even then I was like, there's things I would like to tweak a little bit, because it wasn't enough. Like it just, mental health wasn't a concern. And I'm like, which is dumb, because
Oh,
we
absolutely.
provide mental health services, so we should be taking care of our own mental health, So yeah, I think it's absolutely
Yeah.
amazing to consider.
Yeah, we all have to take care of each other. We have to.
Yeah.
One of the biggest pushes for me to eventually leave that corporation and was that we did have a team member take their own life.
I
So
remember.
yeah, his name is Nathan,
Nathan.
and he was a good friend and teammate to all of us. But it wasn't just, there were multiple. No one ever takes their life for a single reason. Okay, I mean, just with
Mhm.
suicide, there's people will always, have their own connection to it, and they're feeling. I had to grieve, I had blame, I had so many things that I had to get through. But that was toward the end of my career there. That's one of the biggest, when I came back and I decided I was leaving and that's it, I want to do this my way, is because I felt like I wasn't being taken seriously, because before this person passed away, they were in crisis. There were red flags. I needed an emergency contact because I was concerned. And it took 2 to 3 days for me to get an emergency contact. And I was so thankful to that regional manager who was able to eventually get me a contact. But there was no emergency contact. They had to find his address. And then also I get the questions like, leave this man alone. Like, he just needs, his time. My whole team was too, people were just not understanding. I am in a leadership role, and I know you. I have your mom's phone number. I've been to your homes. My team I was very close with. Like, I know if something's weird or off, like, I know who to get a hold of, and I'm looking out for you just personally. And then so for that disconnect where I call and I'm like, can I please have Nathan's emergency contact? Oh, we don't have one listed. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, and then personally going, and then unfortunately it was a day late and this whole thing, but we were looking for him, and his family was also looking for him, and it turned out, because he was a veteran, he had a traumatic brain injury, and so he had medication and things he had to be taking. He was already struggling with his own mental health struggles and alcohol and things like that in his personal life, which is unrelated to work. And then, but at work, he did his job. He was good to everyone. He was just like a superhero. He would go, and I would be so worried about him all the time. I'd be like, hey, no, you're not going alone. Hey,
Right. Yeah.
he would just want to carry the weight. Even when I was struggling, I would put things on him, and it just became, I think about those times. And had I known he had a traumatic brain injury, had I known certain things about him, hopefully I could have done better. But nevertheless, there were things I didn't know that I found out after the fact. But after his death, I specifically remember creating an emergency contact list. I thought that every manager should have an emergency contact list. Basic, most. I think every business should have an emergency contact, right? We going on a field trip at school, you have an emergency contact. It's a
Right.
normal thing. And then checking every 6 months to make sure those contacts are updated. And I felt like I was kind of laughed at for trying to even bring something like that. It was kind of brushed under the rug. And then so when I quit and I was done with that, and I went into janitorial for a little while just because I needed to heal. I needed
Me
a break. I
too.
needed a job. Like, I didn't want to think anymore. I was just going through it. And then, but the first thing as my new janitorial job is I had 12, I was a manager. And so I had 12 people under me. And the first page on my little portal of this new job was that I had everyone's emergency contacts, and I was just like, I cried. I cried because I just thought it was so important, and they had that. And then also I had 6 free sessions provided by my company for a
Yeah.
therapy, which I utilized. And then that's when I realized, like, wow, there are businesses that actually do care about, what's going on here, and they invest in their employees. And these are the businesses that I see in my eyes that are that successful to me, that investment into your
Yeah.
employee. And then so, like, as I don't there was all these different connections and everything, and I have my opinions about that. But losing Nate was a huge part of self-care and why I want that incorporated, because although there's no particular fault in the situation, as far as moving forward and understanding red flags and prevention and being able to take steps to try and prevent these things from happening, I want my technicians to be safe, and I want to be able to call your mom if you go missing for 3 days. I want to be involved in that search, and that if I have information that could assist, because as crime scene cleaners, we're all seeing things that are traumatic. We're dealing with suicide day in and day out. We're dealing with, like I said, domestic violence situations. We're seeing, dead animals. We need to take care of ourselves. And a lot of people who take up the role of being a crime scene cleaner are typically veterans, healthcare, nursing, janitorial or other things. But a lot of these folks are people who deal with trauma better than others because this is a hard job. And we need to protect each other because this is a hard job, not because of weakness, not because we can't handle it, but because we are human beings and we don't want to become numb. We want to make sure that we're there for families, that we can be empathetic. We can have boundaries. We are a business. This is a job, but we're also dealing with death. We're dealing with, our own mental health while I'm holding a human heart in my hand after a train just obliterated somebody. These are significant, vulnerable things that people do need to discuss and talk about. And so mental health is huge to me. And I don't think anybody's perfect, and I don't think, everything can be prevented at every point in time. And I have prevention in mind for everything that I do. And as long as I know that I did my best, that's a win. That is a win. And I want that support system there. So that's what we're working towards every day.
So my next question was going to be like, why do you work with like resources, but you like, when it comes to like suicide and stuff, but you kind of answered that.
Oh yeah, resources are a big deal to me because we all want our families to do better. We want them to heal, because there's this statistic, for suicide specifically, that when somebody dies by suicide, that it's usually the family and those closest to them also become at a higher risk of suicide. So I want to make sure that we're not coming back to the same address for next month. And we've had situations where things like this have happened, and then we've had situations we've had, I've responded to, just sad situations where, say an elderly person, husband and wife, one had late stages of dementia, another late stage cancer that was just discovered, so a murder suicide, and in instances that family would be like, they're sad and everybody's grieving, but at the same time they understand what happened and why it happened, without judgment. But I want these families to be able to have resources and therapy, whether it's, we have a mobile crisis unit in Fresno County. I'm going to be so excited so if somebody's having a hard time, the 988 crisis line, we talk about that. We have support groups, grief support groups in this area, like Heinz Hospice does one for suicide, one for overdose, one for just grief in general, one specifically for children. I've been connecting with different areas, I think, is it Tulare has a whole nonprofit specifically for children going through grief and what their experiences are, and having these support groups. And I, also not just with mental health, but alcohol. How many jobs have we responded to where alcohol was involved before they did the thing that they did, whether it was murder or suicide or harm somebody or whatever? Alcohol and drugs are a huge issue. And so making sure that there's rehabilitation, I have phone numbers for rehab. I have, NA meetings, access, or families asking questions about any of these things, just because we're intersecting at so many different, every job is unique. every family is different,
Yeah.
every culture is different. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just want to be able to have as much as I can if I'm seeing something. So because we're digging through their things, we're in their rooms, we're not trying to be invasive, but we have to go through. We're typically seeing the photos, the clothing, this person's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're finding the booze bottles. We found the heroin. We know your
Yep.
secrets, and we're not going to tell on you, but with this we can see potentially maybe what's gone on in this situation here, this complicated stuff in this family. There's an addiction issue or whatever. So I want to be able to have resources for these families that they can look into regarding that issue or the thing that happened. So that's kind of, I guess, why I want resources to be a big part of what we do. And I'm not a mental health professional, so I can't counsel you. I can be here for you, I can support you, but I can give you the information to where the next step is in this journey. I can tell you all of the local funeral homes and where is the cheapest place for cremation if it's needed, or the different funeral homes that have cater to different religions or even ethnicities. And so that's the kind of thing that we're interested in having on hand, not just for Reaper Clean, but for everyone. Like if other crime scene cleaner friends, family, companies, or people want to have a network, like it's something that we should be able to share together with everyone. So
Do you see why I love
Dude,
her?
I was just about to say, yeah. Like, I was like, I had nothing. I'm just gonna say I love you, yeah. This is amazing because, again, like, not a lot of small businesses do this because I know how difficult it can be to start your own business and, like, make a profit and at the same time take care of, like, yourself, like pay yourself enough and make sure that everybody is supported as well. Um but also you're taking steps for the whole community, and that is something I really really appreciate because big companies tend to, you know shed money, but nothing ever changes. And, like, the reason why it's, like, so expensive, like, to go to therapy, or why there's not enough providers in this area, or why there's, like, so many, waiting lists for so long, is because the whole system is broken. And it's so really, like, it's really hard to fix it. So knowing that there are people out there, trying their best for these communities, it's just, it really restores, like, my hope in humanity, in some sense, because, again, or remember when we were talking about Mr. Rogers, and then he was, like, look for the helpers, and I'm like, this is
Yes.
exactly what he was talking about. Like, there's so many bad things that can happen, but, look for the people that are, like, trying their best, and, being compassionate, and, being real with you, like, human to human, not just like, I'm the business and I'm here to do
Mhm.
my job, and, like, please don't talk to me, kind of thing.
yeah. No, I'm definitely a helper, definitely an
Mhm.
empath, but again, that speaks to making sure to take care of myself a lot
Yeah.
because I'm feeling other people's feelings and going out, and these families are so important to me, but
Mhm.
I'm important to me too. And
Yeah.
so I
And
have to make sure I'm okay.
that's the biggest thing too that I think I learned was sometimes you can give and give, but you do have to be a little selfish because if you have nothing left of yourself to give, then you're not going to do anybody favors. So
Exactly.
sometimes you need to
But
be
it's
that
not
selfish.
selfish.
And I
It's
know
not selfish.
I no, but it's
It's
but
necessary.
it's necessary. But I like personal experience. I know things where because I gave and gave and gave and gave, and then I broke, and finally when you say no, people are like, "Oh, well, screw you." And it's like, "Well,
Oh yeah.
no, it's necessary." So like that mental health, that taking care of yourself, like be your own advocate sometimes. Like all three of us
Absolutely.
I know are in fields where we do nothing but give and advocate and take care of, but we all have to take care of ourselves too. Like I know Elizabeth, her, I, and our other co-host Boone, like the three of us, yeah, we do this podcast together, and we all have our professional backgrounds, but then like you should see our Discord half the time where we're just like, oh, this happened, and like we'll cry in each other's arms, or like we'll
Yeah.
celebrate each other, like because we have to give that support in some way. And I'm so glad to have found these amazing girls in my life, to share that. Because like the funny thing is, like, Amber, you, Elizabeth, you, like our other co-host Boone, like I have never actually physically met any of you, but
Is
like
that crazy?
I know. I've never actually, but like I've never had like better friends. And that's like the crazy thing is like even, and that's the wonders of like technology, is like to find these amazing people throughout this, and like and finding that niche little group of friends is a big mental health thing. So like having that support system. And I know that was a big thing when I would do new hires. I was like, do you have a support system?
Yes.
That is the biggest thing. If you do not have a support system, I don't care how good you are. If you do not have a support system, I'm not hiring you, because that one bad day you don't have support, I cannot be responsible for that. And it's
Yeah.
true. It's like you have to have something.
We have to have that ability to take care of ourselves and understand that we can't run on empty. We do need to talk to people, whether it be your therapist, your friends, your whatever it is. If you love to journal, if you love to write, take your vacation. I snowboard. I do certain things that are the things that I live for, because I love these families. I love doing this. My career is, I'm pretty much obsessed. Everything I do is built into this, but I have to take time for Amber, for me, to take care of me, and there is a me outside of this, and so I think it's very important to have a support system.
And that me wants to steal all this stuff in the background of you.
I know, I'm a nerd. I'm just oh my god, you should see the other.
We should see it.
I mean, do you not see my
I have a
Legos
whole
right
other
here?
wall.
Come on.
I have we were trying to do, so we're also going to be doing a podcast, and I'm just kind of like, we did a trial run like a month ago, and I wanted to film it too, and now I have this funny, like, I have to figure out how to get this off of my phone now, because the file's like way too big. But I recorded it, and it was, I need to set it up like how you guys have it set it up. I really like this. But here, I'll show you. Calvin's office is in here too. Yeah, I have like a whole wall, and then I would, there's stuff behind the what do you call it, the shelf, the banner. Yeah, but I have like I have like collectibles, and so basically my whole life. This is my wall of crap. I am a hoarder.
No, I was just about to say, see, Hope, that's not hoarding.
So this is the one room that has crap. Like everything else is normal. Like at my house, like this is just I've shoved everything into one room, and then I also have Calvin and his wife Jess are roommates of mine as well. Calvin is my operations person. He also worked with the other company as well. We're really good friends, and so my sister. I have a house full of people right now. So he put his office in here, so we're always talking to each other. He's on his computer, I'm on mine, and then yeah, I just have, this is the nerd cave, man. We have video games and Buffy action figures, and that's my books and all of my stuff.
I have my Fisto shrine in the background. I got my Legos right here. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I have all kinds of stuff. But stuff I've had since I was like a kid. Like, I just couldn't get rid of some of this stuff, this ridiculous stuff. So when I die, like, everybody feel free to come to my estate sale, okay? Because it's gonna be dope. All right, I've got weird stuff. I'm gonna have like maps too. Like, I'm gonna bury stuff. It's gonna be because, and I think about that because I think about death, in the sense of we're always responding.
Amber, you can't leave your bed. I need to bury this last thing. It's
yeah, no, I mean, I think about all the ridiculous, like, sometimes the funny stuff we come across as crime scene cleaners when we're in people's homes and stuff. Like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to have weird stuff places, just obnoxious, and there's just gonna be like, what the fuck, and then just I'll have like a note taped under the desk, like, if you are cleaning this up right now, like, this is a map to a clue to find the best treasure of your life.
It's a bunch of stickers.
So right? I just want to be a pirate. That's like my other thing. If I can't be a crime scene cleaner, I just want to be a pirate. That's it.
My brother keeps
Oh,
seeing. I think he saw like a TikTok video or something where somebody was talking about how in for that person's funeral, what he wanted was to hire someone who like was like wearing a trench coat and would like sort of stand really far, so everybody was like, who's that person, like what's going on, so they thought he's like a spy or like in the mob or something.
That's a dark
Yeah, and then my brother's
secret.
like, yeah, I need someone to do that. So can people call you to do that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yes, I will be the gothic goddess with
Like the veil.
the thing
the
of veil
veil.
over my face with my parasol in the rain in the background, like I had a mysterious dark secret. I'll
And
slap
if
somebody
it's
too if
not
you pay
raining,
me.
you'll have someone even behind you with like a hose making it rain. Like,
Right? How could you slap? Yeah, just a little drama. Just what happened? I could do that. That'd be fun. That'd be
that's
We're
that's the
open.
dream.
That is the dream. That's it right there. But yeah, I'm very silly.
Oh my
But you have to
gosh.
have fun too. That's the other thing is too. We're very serious about the work that we do, and we're very professional and loving towards our families. But man, the shenanigans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just oh my gosh, like we have some good times, don't we?
Oh, it's the best. Like you have to. It's that balance though. So.
Yeah, like I talk about humor a lot. Like, I know, Hope you've talked about this.
Mhm.
I have a dark sense of humor, right?
Very,
So,
very.
and it's funny because a lot of people, where's the line? And I believe that the line is this, like, I don't ever degrade a deceased or family or degrade the space. But if we're coming across somebody's Playboy magazines and you and I are just, we're getting through this traumatic experience together where, and we're laughing with you and we're going to keep your secret. We're not going to tell anybody, you know, and we're not going to share it with the world or the internet or whatever. It's just this private moment, like we're your best friends, and we just were like,
Mhm.
"Girl, I knew you were into something," hmm you know,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just like working with each other to get through this moment and then to connect with this person that may not be here anymore and just know that they're so human. They're human and they have silly collectibles and stuff like we find your Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears McDonald's CD mix, like you know so it's fun. I mean,
No, it was the hit clips. That's what it was.
hit clips, yes,
It
right.
was the pre iPod iPods.
Like we found your role play diary from 6th grade, okay, and you're okay. You shipped
Your
Sora
Star
and
Wars
Riku, and we know
your
about
Star
it
Wars fanfic is out there now.
now. We know what you really think. No, that's fun. It's so funny because I say that I've made friends with some of these ghosts, and I think the lives that we've come across too. Like I know their names and the people and their families now, and you learn so much about them, and it's almost a gift afterwards too, because we have all of this grief and all of this the hardship and all this really hard stuff. So it's really nice also in this industry, I think, where we can laugh together. We can have a human experience and actually get to know this person that's no longer with us anymore or their family and see like what a gift they are. Or I've had customers or like mom, like sometimes it's mom who are just they're
Mhm.
hilarious or they're just so genuine and learning about these different people and how life could have been if maybe addiction
Yeah.
wasn't involved or how life um just the things that they were themselves involved with. And so it's really nice to be able to have those moments of just I guess vulnerability and being human after grief and being able to laugh together or find the funny stuff or connect with these families in different ways that you wouldn't think.
So I have one last
Yeah.
question. I say that, but it might not be the last question. So what
I was about to say, is it your last question or your last question or
the
your
last
last
one?
last question?
So okay, so I again I was totally stalking your website, and I saw that you have a Facebook and an Instagram. Given the type of work that we just totally discussed, why would people follow you on social media? Like, what is it that you post? Because in my head, immediately I was like, are you posting like crime scene stuff or whatever? I've seen it, I know what it is, but I
No.
just want people to
So,
know. I know it's not that.
okay. So there's a balance. There's a delicate balance because there are other companies out there that post everything. And I don't agree with
Yes,
that. Just personally
yes.
for me. Like I said, every crime scene cleaner, every company has their protocol. The company we previously worked for, you get fired if you had anything online or whatever.
Anything
But
whatsoever.
so I have, again, there's a balance. Like with humor and everything else and the way we're communicating with our customers, there is a delicate balance. And I believe that if it's educational, if it provides for my services a good, like a before and after of something that we're capable of doing, and it's educational and it relates to what we're talking about, I think that's okay. Personal information, gore for the sake of gore that shows nothing, no cleaning, no anything, no, what really pertaining to your service, just shock value or anything like making fun of the deceased or family. Like I've seen YouTube videos of other companies of people just going through a space and kind of laughing at, a deceased person's collection or something. Um, these things should be private between technicians, right? Like if someone's going through a space and you come across like a sex toy or something, and you're like, oh, what? We have these awkward moments. They happen. We laugh. It's okay. We get through it. It's not anything like we don't want to be, but we're not going to go online and show a million people somebody's private business. We're not going to do that. That's not who we are. That's not what we do. So the way I do it is, if I have a before and after photo, I always do a trigger warning, and it's usually not anything extreme either. If you're a person that wants to follow a crime scene cleanup company, or just see like gory photos, that you have Reddit, you have 4chan, you have other places that you
There's
can
so
go for
many other
that.
outlets
There's
for
so
that.
many companies. Go ahead and follow them. They're whatever, and do your thing. I'm not judging. It's not who I am. But we'll do like a trigger warning, and it'll be something like, if you go on the Instagram, I'll say, hey, this is related to blood. If you don't like seeing something like this, you may not want to flip through this. And then it'll show a before and after of like a vehicle that I've done, where it conveys like we're capable of cleaning at this depth or doing this service. Or I have one where it looks like there's no blood underneath something, and then I pull it up and there's this huge pool. And it's just educational, I think, for anyone who wants to be a crime scene cleaner, or anyone who understands like why maybe a professional is required. Because something could look clean and like you got it, like, oh, there's one drop of blood on the carpet, and then you pull up that carpet and we know like it's everywhere. It's
deceiving. Through the foundation, it's gone through the
But at the top of that carpet, it looks like 3 little dots. Not a big deal. So there's just these things that are more about biohazard and being honest with what we're doing that I do share, and I will share those things. And so shout out to Nayoka, who is my girl who's in charge of my social media right now. She has her own podcast called Operation Evil, and it's about true crime. And she's super funny and intelligent, and her co-host Rachel just kind of go over different crime incidences or stories and go over everything. It's super cool. But she helps me with my social media. She's just amazing. And so she's been engaging more online. So she'll post like photos of us out doing stuff. But it's not anything like abrasive or inappropriate or like super gore or scary. Like you'll see us like covered in filth with a hose, or we're just out and about, or we're wearing our uniforms and we're doing stuff. And then we have a monthly biohazard language. So like, what is a death angel? Right. And then I have a definition for it, and maybe we will show a photo, but there will probably be a trigger warning just to show something like that. And then what's the difference between splatter and spatter? Like, and things like, so we do like education that way. And then we share grief support. So if there's a local Fresno, like, hey, grief support Wednesday nights at whatever, I share stuff like that. If that's more of like the Facebook thing, we'll share, like, if the fire academy is doing something really cool for girls, or ages 15 to 25. Sometimes they, I'm going to share that. That's really cool. Like, so we do different stuff in the community. Sometimes we go to like trunk or treat events, or we work a lot with like LGBTQIA, like the pride stuff here, and sometimes we'll go and we'll do trunk or treating with them, and so we'll share their flyers and community things. If the Tower Theater, we contract with them sometimes, so if there's a particular event going on there that relates to the community, we'll share it. So we do just general, we're talking about biohazards, we're talking about, we're on call 24/7, we're reminding people who we are, we're sharing photos of us doing jobs, but we're not necessarily invading space or privacy, or just doing like gory pictures of stuff. Like, we do have before and afters here and there, or we have photos of us in hoarding situations where we're working with family. And then the other thing is, we have permission. Like, I usually ask, and it's written, like a written document.
Mhm.
They can say no, they don't want any pictures shared, then no, I'm not going to share any pictures from that job. If they say yes, they don't mind, or I've had customers be like, use all of my pictures, like, I want everyone to know what you did here today, then we can use those pictures. So we have consent with the pictures that we do share, and then we make sure that we're just interacting. Instagram specifically, I do a lot of every person that Reaper Clean follows on Instagram is some sort of support network, whether it's for grief, whether it's I follow other morticians, I follow Caitlin Doughty, I follow local different morticians, different death doulas, different
Elizabeth,
animal support. I follow other. If you have an Instagram with your mental health services, I will follow you, and they can So if you look at my Instagram specifically, and you look at the people that I follow, every one of them is some sort of resource, whether it's for different ethnicities, different LGBT, domestic violence. The Marjorie Mason Center here in Fresno is a shelter for women trying to escape from domestic violence, so I follow them. So it's just all that, and then I'll share in the stories on Instagram every day or every other day. All of the stories that you see are related to grief, some sort of event going on. It's just some sort of resource or something that's like suicide prevention. Or since I am a board member for AFSP, I share a lot of American Foundation for Suicide Prevention stuff. I have access to those statistics, so those are things I like to share more often than other things too. So, but we share a lot. And then so we are posting, and you'll see pictures. Sometimes I'll just do a selfie of me, like, I'm out marketing today. Hi, we're here. Like, don't forget about us, but our social media is just more fun like that. We're more about who we are, our story, and the community, rather than just, gore, crime scene cleaning. Yeah.
I feel like super called out right now.
We have more personal touch, I suppose.
Wait, am I frozen again? No, I am frozen.
No, you're good. You're good.
You came back.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I feel super called out because you were like, oh,
you're good right
you
now.
Look at her like. Am I good now? No.
Yeah. Oh my god. What are you trying to say, Elizabeth?
Oh, finally, I'm back. I was like, I feel so called out.
No, I think it's lagging for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's coming back slowly.
Why are you called out?
Because she was talking like, well, if you look at her website, and I was like totally like just looking through the website, and she's like,
lagging.
if you look at her social media, and I was like totally going through the social media. She's like, look at who we follow, and I was like just following people you were following, and I was like, oh, can she see me?
Yeah. No, yeah, and I'm so happy that you did that. Like, that makes me so happy because, like I said, it's not just about us. We're trying to be a resource as well. Like, we want you use me. If you have questions, ask them. If you want connections with somebody or something that we're connecting with, I will connect you with them. Like, we have different people that we work with, and different people that I just admire that I've never met, but I see the work that they're doing online, or I see other, we follow other crime scene cleaners too. Like, we follow, like, we We just have all sorts of different stuff. And if it connects to you, because we're not a one size, fits all. I arrange my services and what I'm capable of depending on the situation, the family, and what the situation is. And so, I mean, we've come across so many different things. Like I said, whether it's addiction and recovery, whether it's, suicide prevention, whether it's, just dialysis patients or understanding certain things. Like I always ask some of my customers toward the end of the job if there's space and time and they're comfortable, like, do you have any suggestions about like what we could do to support you on afterwards, or do you think there's someone who would be interested in connecting with us, or how can we
Yeah.
help? And the last person I talked to was like, oh, I'm a military person, so I work with the Veterans Hospital a lot. I'm going to give them your information. And I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe I can find their Instagram, the Veterans Hospital. Maybe that's a good resource for a military. And, so we're always trying to connect. We're always trying to figure it out ways to, so like I said, I'm a resource. Utilize me. I will, if I don't have an answer, I'll go looking for one. I'll find it for you. So, because everybody's already got so much going on. So I want to be able to do what I can.
That's awesome. Like and this is why I love surrounding myself with people like you, because you are just, not only you're just like, I love you, you're just so bubbly and nice and lovely and everything, but like you are a resource and you can give so much. And like I'm just so happy to know both you ladies in my life. And I this is partially why I do this podcast, to give this knowledge back out to the people, whether it reaches one person, 100 or 1,000. Like it's one more person who can know about this. And
Exactly.
and I'm just so happy to have been a part of this journey in some sort of fashion or way. And yeah, I know Elizabeth probably has something else she wants to say though, so I'm gonna shut up now.
No, actually, but I'm kind
Where
of
did she
busy stalking
go?
her her social media. So wait, I'm totally focused. What?
Oh god.
You sound like a robot.
Oh,
You were lagging.
oh, my stupid internet.
The
Oh.
cutest robot I've ever seen, but nevertheless, take me to your leader.
I
She's right
think,
there.
yeah, I think this might be a sign for us to wrap up the session though. As much as, again, I could go on for hours. Um
Yeah.
we're Again, I love you. I know you're an amazing person. Elizabeth has such amazing knowledge too. Now I can link both of y'all up and it's going to be great. Um and apparently my next step is just move out to California apparently. So,
Yes.
Absolutely. We're going to take over the world. That makes absolute sense.
Please support the Patreon,
but yeah, like I said,
so
I'm gonna
so
have
Hope can
links in the
move over
descriptions
here,
for
and then we
both
can have
Amber,
live events for you
everything you do,
guys.
Reaper Clean, and also for Elizabeth with her nonprofit. I'll have those links. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk with me about,
Of course.
everything you have going on. Just so happy to share your story and your knowledge. So
I love you. I appreciate you. And, I couldn't be where I am or doing what I'm doing without, my friends and my support system, which you are greatly a part of. And, you are always very encouraging. Oh, still are encouraging. I mean, thank you for doing this, for allowing me to be on your podcast and share. But I mean, you're amazing. And so I think we're all going to go far. I'm very excited for the future. And if you do come out to California, there will be shenanigans.
oh gosh, yes.
Eventually, I am going to fly out and just visit everyone. Like I want
Yes.
to give you a great big hug someday soon.
Yes,
Like
please.
this. We're gonna squeeze you like this.
Again, on the retreat. We're doing the company retreat. Gonna happen.
Yes, I will go. I just need a couple months notice so I know, and then we can,
yeah.
and then I can fly out, and then we're all gonna hang out. That's the plan.
And then on that note, just some personal housekeeping. If you're listening, check out our YouTube channel if you're on YouTube. And for some reason you can't, we're also on every podcast, streamer that's out there. You could also check out our merch store. We have merch like what I am wearing today.
Dopest shirt ever.
This is the Mind Brain movie shirt, but we also have shirts for all the other shows that we do. You
But this
know,
was the best one.
also just check out the Patreon. Like I said before, yes, but as I grab my own titties, but then, but um, you know, check out the Patreon. Not only does it help support me, it helps grow the channel, helps Elizabeth get better fucking internet. But a portion of all the Patreon money does go to Elizabeth's nonprofit, you know, so we can spread the mental health awareness. We can give more services to people, you know, and yeah,
Yay.
just I appreciate everyone listening in. Hope you all have a great day. Remember, your mental health does matter,
It
and
does.
there's plenty of resources out here that you can grab at, and you can always contact us through all these social medias. So
You Matter 988 crisis line is national. So
love it. All right. And again, thank you so much, ladies. And I think this will be the end of today's episode of Mind Brain Movies. I have been your Sherpa into the Mind Brain.